everyone, Your Produce Guy here. Recently, I had the good fortune of meeting a neighbor who had the most amazing backyard rhubarb patch that I have ever seen. And I was lucky enough that he offered me some of that to use here in the kitchen. And today I'm going to make a fabulous crumble top rhubarb pie. This stuff is just amazing, so fresh, and it has a perfumey fragrance that goes with it. So I'm pretty excited about this today. Now, I started out by cutting the ribs of rhubarb just across the ribs, just slicing them up like that. I didn't want to go too fine on these. You can see here that I've just kind of chopped them right straight across, some nice big pieces. That's because the pie's going to be in the oven for up to an hour and a half, and I want those pieces of rhubarb to stand up to that heat and has some great texture in that pie. So I'm really excited about this. Now, you need to start out with a pie shell, of course. What I've done is I've got a ready-made pie shell here today that we're going to use, and just did that for some ease and convenience. You can use your favorite pie shell recipe with that. I've got a cup of sugar now. We're going to put that over the rhubarb pieces, just kind of coat those there. That looks real good. Give that a little shake around. And then I've got some kosher salt here, and we're just going to give a nice pinch, maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe something like that. Okay, we've shaken up our rhubarb bits here. We'll give them a little stir, both shaken and stirred. That can't beat that. And then these are going to now go into the pie shell. All those right there, a little bit of sugar still not mixed in, but right over the top. That looks great. Okay, now let's make our crumb topping. For the crumb topping, we'll start with 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. To that, we will add 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. Next ingredient, 3 tablespoons of white sugar, that's the granulated sugar, and then to that another pinch of kosher salt. Now we'll go ahead and mix those together. Anytime you're baking and have dry ingredients that you're going to add to wet, you always want to get those ingredients integrated first before adding the wet portion. Alright, that looks pretty good there. Now, 5th ingredient, last one, 6 tablespoons of sweet creamery butter, unsalted. Now the next part of this operation does not necessarily require a special tool. I've got a pastry cutter here. I'm going to cut that in with the pastry cutter, and those little bits of butter will start clinging to the dry ingredients and make the crumble. You can do this with like a big serving fork. I've done it with that before. But it's just way easier using a pastry cutter for this job. Right tool for the right job. Always the best thing to do. Okay, that's all integrated. We're ready for the next step. We'll get that cleaned off. And we're going to add our crumble to the top of our pie. And that's a simple operation. Just goes right over the top there. Now, I'm going to pop this pie into, I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. As soon as the pie's in, I'll turn that down to 375, so it gets kind of a little jump start on it there. And you see, this doesn't have to be all perfectly covering the fruit. No, it's a crumble top, and so it can go here and there, and that's what we've got. That looks really good. Now, this will bake for up to an hour and a half. I'm going to check it in an hour. If my crumble top is browning up too much, I'm going to tent it with some foil to keep it from getting burned. Also, you could probably cook this in a paper bag like we do our apple pie. So you might want to check out that video to see an alternative baking method. But we're ready to start cooking. Well, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. I've got it out of the oven. It is piping hot here. It is just now settled down from the bubbles that were coming out of it. I've neglected to mention before I put it in the oven, you want to put it on a cookie sheet or baking sheet and foil line that sheet, because I guarantee you some of that hot syrup is going to bubble over and you can ruin a good pan with that hot sugar syrup that comes over the top of your pie. So we're going to let this cool. It needs to be fully cooled for it to be best enjoyed. So I'm going to set it aside and we'll check back in just a bit. Our pie is completely cooled down now, and we are able to finally sample our work here. This looks great. Oh, the crust is all glistening. That looks great. It's got that syrup from the pie all over it. Nice crumble top. Now, the proof in the pudding. Let's see how it is. Just perfect, that's all. Delicious. Oh, I love rhubarb pie. That is so good. The only thing that is missing is a scoop of vanilla ice cream to go with that. It's kind of demanding that right now. So good. Tart, sweet, delicious. Thanks so much for being with us. I hope you've enjoyed this great spring and summertime treat, rhubarb pie. Simple and delicious. I am your produce guy, reminding you that fresh is best. We will see you next time. These things are gorgeous, and my mouth is already watering. Thinking of the things I'm going to put these to use in. Rhubarb, of course, used in a lot of sweet desserts. So let's get a closer look at these. Rhubarb is always sold in the store without the leaves. Because of that toxicity factor we mentioned. Shouldn't be eating those. They don't come into the store. They're taken off out in the field. What you want to look for when buying rhubarb